Welcome back, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for another explainer. We're trying something a little different today, a bit more interactive. It's our daily current affairs challenge, based on the news for June 16th, 2026. You know, this isn't just about skimming the headlines. It's about actively testing your knowledge, getting into the deeper context, and seeing exactly how today's global events connect to each other. So, get ready to test yourself as we go. Okay, let's dive into this. On our agenda today, wildlife and environment updates, Indian infrastructure feats, global health warnings, international diplomacy honors, and youth and future governance. Section 1, Wildlife and Environment Updates. Today, we're looking at the Tapanuli orangutan.
So here's your very first question to ponder. The Tapanuli orangutan, which has been all over the environmental news circuits lately, is found in which specific country? Take a second. Do you know where this rare primate calls home?
The answer is B, Indonesia. If you guessed Indonesia, you are absolutely correct. This particular species is completely endemic to the island of Sumatra. And they actually just made the news because a devastating cyclone hit the region, bringing this highly localized habitat straight into the global spotlight.
And unfortunately, the news is pretty grim. 58. That is the number of Tapanuli orangutans tragically killed by this recent cyclone in Sumatra. Now, I know 58 might not sound like a massive number in the grand scheme of global wildlife, but for this specific animal, it represents nearly 7% of their entire remaining global population, just wiped out in a single weather event. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer rarity of this animal. The Tapanuli is actually one of only 3 known orangutan species on the planet, right alongside the Sumatran and the Bornean orangutans. They are incredibly unique, living only in the tropical and subtropical moist broadleaf forests just south of Lake Toba. Because their numbers are so tiny and so concentrated, the International Union for Conservation of Nature lists them as critically endangered. When an entire species exists in just one small pocket of the world, extreme weather events like this cyclone are literally an existential threat. Section 2, Indian infrastructure feats. We're looking at a historic tunnel.
All right, here is your next challenge, and this is a great one for those of you tracking geography for competitive exams. India's very first 8-lane tunnel is currently being built beneath which national tiger reserve? Think about that for a second. The intersection of massive highway infrastructure and critical wildlife habitats.
And the answer is C, the Bukandrulan Hills Tiger Reserve. This is a monumental piece of engineering. I mean, an 8-lane tunnel is a massive undertaking on its own, but carefully routing it beneath a protected ecological zone in Rajasthan, that makes it a truly historic infrastructure feat.
For those of you taking notes, let's break down the vital geographical context of this location. The Mukundra Hills Tiger Reserve is located in Rajasthan. You might also see it referred to in some literature as the Dara Wildlife Sanctuary. Topographically, it's super fascinating. It lies right in a valley formed by 2 distinct parallel mountain ranges, the Mukundra and the Gargala. Understanding this terrain kind of helps explain exactly why an underground tunnel was necessary to pass through this vital ecological corridor without severing it.
Section 3, Global Health Warnings. A resurging infection. Here is your question for this round. Tetanus, a disease we once considered nearly eradicated, has recently been reported to be resurging in the U.S. What kind of biological agent causes it? Is it a virus, a fungus, a parasite?
It's A, a bacteria. Knowing exactly what we're dealing with here is crucial, because this biological agent completely dictates how the disease spreads and exactly how we fight it.
Let's clearly define what this is. Tetanus, which a lot of people commonly refer to as lockjaw, is a severe bacterial infection. But what makes it so dangerous is that it directly targets the human nervous system. The bacteria typically sneaks into the body through breaks in the skin, like open wounds or deep cuts.
So the crucial point is how this works in the real world. This bacteria is incredibly common. It's naturally found in soil, manure, and even the human intestine. Now, a key factor to remember, it is not transmitted from person to person. You can't catch it just by being in the same room as someone who has it. But what is most alarming is that there is no actual cure. Medical treatment is strictly about managing the symptoms and severe complications. Plus, surviving it doesn't even grant you natural immunity. You can catch it again. That is exactly why prevention is everything. It is completely 100% preventable through a simple vaccine. The recent resurgence in the US is a really stark reminder of what happens when vaccination rates slip.
Moving on to Section 4, International Diplomacy Honors, the highest state decoration. Time for a diplomacy quiz. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was recently conferred the Order of the White Double Cross First Class. Which nation presents this highly specific and prestigious award?
It's Bratislava. The award was officially presented to the Prime Minister by Peter Pellegrini, marking a highly significant moment of diplomatic recognition between the two nations. To give you some interesting context on that number 33 right there, this marks the 33rd international award conferred upon Prime Minister Modi. Specifically, Slovakia's Order of the White Double Cross, First Class, is their highest state decoration. It's awarded strictly to recognize outstanding contributions to state building and the strengthening of international relations, in this case, India-Slovakia bilateral relations.
And our final section, Section 5, Youth and Future Governance, Engaging Young Citizens.
Here is your final challenge for today. The Viksit Bharat Youth Parliament 2026 was recently launched in New Delhi. Which specific government ministry is driving this new democratic initiative? The correct answer is B, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. They launched this massive program in the capital with a very clear, targeted goal to actively engage the country's youth in democratic processes, hands-on governance, and real parliamentary discussions.
Let's move to and see how this builds in practice. This isn't just a top-down thing. It's a highly structured, three-stage progression. It starts right at the grassroots with a district round, elevating the best participants to a state round, and finally culminating in a huge national round. The entire framework is designed to encourage young citizens to contribute directly to the grand vision of Viksit Bharat 2047, actively preparing them to shape the nation's future.
And that brings us to the end of today's interactive explainer. Just look at the ground we've covered. From tracking the heartbreaking vulnerabilities of the Tapanuli orangutan in Indonesia, to an incredible infrastructure marvel in Rajasthan, resurging bacterial threats, international diplomacy in Slovakia, and finally, structured pathways for empowering our youth. All of these pieces of information paint a really vivid picture of our world right now. My final question to you is this: from vulnerable species to empowering youth, how will today's facts shape tomorrow's reality? I hope you retain these facts, keep questioning the world around you, and as always, keep learning. Thanks so much for joining me today.